Hello, dear friends. In Unit 16, we are going to learn about past perfect continuous tense. Past perfect continuous means any action that continued before the past. Let's study this example situation to understand this. Yesterday morning, I got up and looked out of the window. The sun was shining, but the ground was very wet. Means it had been raining. Means when I looked out of the window, it was not raining. The sun was shining. But before that time, it had been raining. So, from this example situation, it is clear that we use past perfect continuous for any action that continued before the past. The structure for the past perfect continuous tense is subject with had been and ing form of the verb. Okay? Let's have some more examples to understand this better. When the boys came into the house, their clothes were dirty, their hair was untidy, and one of them had a black eye. Means what? Means they had been fighting. I was very tired when I got home. It means what? I had been working hard all day. It was exactly the same sentence I gave as WhatsApp challenge yesterday on my status, WhatsApp status, right? When I went to Madrid a few years ago, I stayed with a friend of mine. I went there a few years ago. I stayed with that friend, but that friend of mine hadn't been living there very long, but she knew the city very well. So in all these situations, we can easily see that some action continued before the past, and that's why in all these sentences we have used past perfect continuous for those actions. Okay, so we can say that something had been happening for a period of time before something else happened. Means exactly the same thing as I told you, that we use past perfect continuous tense for any action that continued before the past. We can also mention the period of time with that action. Like we had been playing tennis for about half an hour. When it started to rain heavily. Means it started to rain heavily in the past, and before that for half an hour we had been playing tennis. Let's have another example. Paul went to the doctor last Friday. He hadn't been feeling well for some time. See, he went to the doctor last Friday, but before that, he had not been feeling well. For how long? For some time. So, from this, it is quite clear that something that continued for some time before the past is past perfect continuous. Now let's have a comparison. Let's understand the comparison. Let's understand the difference between present perfect continuous and past perfect continuous. What is the difference? See, present perfect continuous means something that continued before now, and past perfect continuous, as I told you, something that continued before the past. To understand this, we will have some example. I hope the bus comes soon. I have been waiting for 20 minutes. Means the moment I am telling this thing, before this moment, I have been waiting for 20 minutes. But after some time, when the bus reached and I am talking to somebody, at last the bus came. I had been waiting for 20 minutes. When? In the past, when the bus came, just before that. Okay, so it is quite clear that any action that continued before the past is past perfect continuous. We can add the duration of the period, duration of the time also with that. Okay, now we must understand the difference between past continuous and past perfect continuous. Past continuous means something that continued in the past. See, what was the example situation in the very beginning that I gave you? Yesterday morning I got up and looked out of the window. The sun was shining. When was the sun shining? Yesterday morning when I looked out of the window. When did I look out of the window? In the past, yesterday morning, right? That time the sun was shining. So the past continuous means something that continued in the past. And before that past, it had been raining. So it is quite clear from this example situation also that past continuous means anything that continued in the past, and past perfect continuous means anything that continued before that past time. I hope it is quite clear to all of you. Okay. Yes, we must take care of one very sensitive thing in English, that there are some certain verbs which are never used in continuous tenses. Those are known as stative verbs. We have already studied about those verbs in present continuous tense, like know, like, want, and there are some other certain verbs which are never used in continuous. So those verbs should not be used in past perfect continuous either. So instead of using those verbs in past perfect continuous, we should use them in past perfect tense. For example, we were good friends. We had known each other for years. If anybody says we had been knowing each other for years, it would be wrong to say. Why? Because know is a stative verb. It can never be used in any continuous tense. Let's discuss another example. I was surprised when Lisa cut her hair. She had long hair since I first met her. If anybody says she had been having, it would be completely wrong, because we all know that have is not used in the continuous tenses if it is used to talk about to show possession or relation. So instead of using this verb into past continuous or past perfect continuous, it will be wrong. So we should use in past perfect instead of using it in past perfect continuous. So unit 16 is done. I hope you got the things. You understood what past perfect continuous mean. So solve the exercise after that. Feel free to ask me any doubts, any confusions you have. 24/7. I'm available for you. Thank you very much.